Please join me in welcoming the 2019 recipient of the Walker Cup, Liam Byrnes.
Good morning and congratulations to the parents and families gathered here who finally, after 4 long years, get to check off their bucket list, see inside of my child's college field house. I'm certainly a bit bummed that we're not outside right now, but nothing is going to dampen my excitement about this morning's celebration. 1,363 days ago, a group of about 596 people entered DePauw University with perhaps little in common beyond their inordinate knowledge of almonds and just how much water it takes to produce each one of those crunchy and nutritious snacks. During their 4 years at DePauw, this group would experience myriad challenges and changes that would shape both the individuals within the class and the larger group identity of the folks sitting in front of me this morning. This group of people persevered through campus construction and the loss of hot buffalo chicken wraps at the Den. This group of people maintained a vigilant sense of intellectual curiosity and refused to tacitly accept changes to curriculum, staffing, or institutional vision that did not align with their own goals. This group of people experienced a wide range of vitriol and hate, from Brother Jed to anonymous threatening graffiti around campus. And it was the same group of people who had to lead the way in responding with unity and passion to any circumstances that led to peers feeling unsafe or unwelcome. And I'll tell you what, this person right here is incredibly humbled, honored, excited, and truly blessed to be standing in front of this group of talented, caring, passionate, and immensely accomplished peers. Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, the 6 coolest members of each graduate's family, and distinguished guests, please join me in once again congratulating this incomparable DePauw class of 2019. I want to just begin by expressing gratitude to all those who are here today for the ways in which you've supported, affirmed, and mentored our class. So many people here have been endlessly generous with their time and talents with the sole purpose of helping us succeed. I'd like to specifically thank the DePauw faculty and staff. You truly are the lifeblood of this institution, and on behalf of the class of 2019, it has been an honor and a joy learning from and collaborating with you. There's much to consider when writing an address like this. Some of the solicited and unsolicited advice I received for this speech reminded me of just how many directions I could go in my short time before you this morning. I don't think it is particularly appropriate for me to attempt to distill down my class's experiences to a single narrative, nor do I think I have the life experience and wisdom to be overly prescriptive in quote-unquote advice I offer to the various groups of students, relatives, and leaders we have gathered here today. Instead, I will offer just one idea for your consideration that I think is broadly applicable to both my class and the entire audience as it relates to who we are as a community and as a society. It's been an eventful and sometimes trying 4 years for our country and for our world. During our 4 years at DePauw, we saw one of the most contentious political campaigns and elections in recent history, and the passage of many policies that didn't seem to be representative of the views and the beliefs of the people. In light of such discouraging events, I've seen many people become frustrated by systemic and institutional barriers to change and resign themselves to cynicism and assumption that we as a society, for lack of a better term, are screwed. My contention today is that we as a society are not screwed just yet. Rather, it is when we lose our faith and belief in our ability to change and shape our own microcosms and spheres of influence that we are actually and definitively screwed. Now, the debater in me feels inclined to provide just a bit of definitional context before moving forward. The Oxford English Dictionary defines a microcosm as, quote, a community, place, or situation regarded as encapsulating in miniature the characteristics of something much larger. As we reflect on our time at DePauw, I sincerely hope that we see ways in which our academic, social, emotional, and spiritual experiences in the so-called DePauw bubble have modeled and prepared us for something much larger, our life and impact after DePauw. In the same way, I'm hopeful that all of us here take some time to reflect on how we treat others, how we fail to act, how we advocate, and how we stay silent within our own personal communities, and the ways those decisions impact the broader discourse and actions of the entire world. This may seem a bit hyperbolic and unrealistic, but I respectfully ask you to stay with me for just a minute longer. Someone's reaction to the political or social climate in the status quo may very well be to resign themselves to political apathy and the thought that their voice or vote has no chance of having any impact on the decisions they see in the world. Such an outlook may seem like an individual choice that has negligible impact beyond their spheres of influence. However, they are likely not the only person thinking that way. Before we know it, thousands of communities, places, and situations are encapsulating the characteristic of political apathy, demonstrated by individuals who felt as if they were acting in isolation. For this reason, I'm quite confident that people failing to believe in their sense of agency and their ability to advocate for change on a smaller scale is the key sign that we are headed in a more apocalyptic direction as a society. The best educator I worked with during my time at DePauw and indeed anywhere was Professor Andrea Sununu. If any underclassmen are here, I cannot recommend more strongly that you take a course with her. In Professor Sununu's English 255 course, we read Animal Dreams, a novel by DePauw alum Barbara Kingsolver. In it, Kingsolver writes, quote, "Wars and elections are too big and too small to matter in the long run. The daily work, that goes on. It adds up. It goes into the ground, into crops, into children's bellies and their bright eyes. Good things don't get lost." To me, the messaging here is clear. There's beauty and value in what Kingsolver calls, quote, "the daily work" that occurs within our circles. Sometimes there's meaning in the mundane. When we approach our seemingly minute and fleeting daily interactions with just a bit more intention and care, we will be shocked by the ripples we see throughout our society's many, many microcosms. So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, I'm convinced that examples abound around us on a daily basis, but I will share just one example with you today. Exactly 30 years ago, a man named Douglas Hallward Driemeyer stood in this spot and gave this very address to the class of 1989. He spoke on the notions of idealism and realism and how he thought idealism was the best path towards constructing a better and more just society. Our class became familiar with Mr. Hallward Driemeyer when he appeared as our first Ubben lecturer in October of 2015, after he was a part of the Supreme Court litigation team that won the Obergefell v. Hodges case that legalized same-sex marriage. He's clearly an example of someone who believes in the ability to make change within his spheres of influence. Yet, when he was later awarded an honorary degree from here, his alma mater, in 2016, he said, "The true heroes of the Obergefell decision were not the justices, and it was not the lawyers who argued the case. It was the thousands upon thousands of individuals who stood up for justice." Even a man who did so much for a cause he believed in cited the vast collective power of individuals working within their own communities to create meaningful change. I hope that I've given you something to consider on this rainy Sunday morning, and I'll leave you with a continuation of my earlier quote from Barbara Kingsolver that we heard so beautifully read at last night's baccalaureate ceremony. She says, quote, "The very least you can do in life is to figure out what you hope for, and the most you can do is live right inside that hope. Not admire it from a distance, but live right in it, under its roof." My sincere hope for everyone gathered here today, from my younger siblings, Aiden and Kira, to the faculty and staff, and most importantly, to the class of 2019, is that you never lose sight of your ability to impact your microcosms, community, and ultimately, the world. Thank you.